Hey everyone, we have had the sniffles in our house. The kids and I are finally getting better. Well, they had it first and then I got it, and we're in need of more elderberry syrup. So since I'm going ahead and getting more of that made today, I thought I'd share it with you. Our favorite go-to recipe. So stay tuned and we'll share it with you here in a moment. Hey everyone, we are back. Let's come over to the stove and get started. Okay everyone, this is not a hard recipe. It's actually quite simple. It's definitely effective, helps your kids get through their sicknesses, and we just highly recommend elderberry syrup for that purpose. Now this is not a thick syrup. A lot of people cook it down where it's really quite thick. Ours is more like a kind of a juice consistency, but it's still considered a syrup. And what makes ours thicker at the end is the honey. So the first ingredients, and really everything but the honey we're going to do, is we're going to take 3.5 cups of water. So you want to start with 3.5 cups of water in a pot. You're going to add 2/3 cup of dried elderberries, 2 tablespoons of fresh or dried ginger, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of whole cloves or clove powder. Now, I have whole cloves. I don't have clove powder. Well, I might, but I choose the whole cloves. And I don't have fresh ginger, so I always use ginger root powder. It's just easier for me. I've thrown it all in here, so I've got it all measured out. And we're just going to pour it in there, into the water. Then we're just going to bring this to a boil. And we're going to let it, once it gets to a boil, we're going to turn the heat down a bit. And we're going to simmer it for like an hour. We just want all of this to get really incorporated and to cook down a bit. So once it's cooked down, and I'll show you that obviously a little bit further on, I'll come back and let you see how that looks. We're going to get this ginger a little clumped, and we're going to get those things all out so we get all the goodness. And we'll talk about why the items in this syrup are kind of important to have. Now, one of the things I do is when my kids aren't sick is they drink a teaspoon of this every day. And then when they are sick, they'll have a teaspoon of this probably every 3 to 4 hours to help knock out whatever it is their body is fighting. So we'll come back here shortly. We'll talk about why this is great to have and finish up this recipe and show you how super simple it is to have this at home and ready to go. All right, we've brought it to a boil, and we will go ahead. I've set the timer, and we're going to let that cook for 60 minutes. So it says 45 to 60 minutes. I usually do the whole 60 minutes. It makes it a bit more concentrated for when we are taking it to knock things out or just help, to keep our immune system going in general. So in 60 minutes, we'll come back and I'll let you see what it looks like then. All right, everybody, it's been an hour. The one thing I didn't show you earlier is it does suggest that you go ahead and put a lid on there and just keep it cracked for the venting. Set it over there. So I went ahead and did this, and I'm not sure if you can tell, but this is where we started. About, I'd say, maybe a 1/2 inch above where it's at now. And it's gone down quite a bit. But yeah, so we went ahead and let that evaporate so it's a little bit more concentrated. Now we're going to run it through a screen to get all the solids out, the berries, the part that we don't need. And we'll do that next. All right, so this is pretty hot stuff. We're going to go ahead and pour this through here. Get all those berries and all the goodness. And you could go ahead and not do anything further here if you wanted, but I go ahead and kind of press through to make sure we got as much of that juice out as we can. Because it is good stuff. We want to get as much of that in our system as we can. So just do that. And that has the cloves out and obviously the berries, but we're getting all the good juice out. So since we use powdered ginger, we're not having to get any ginger solids out, so that's not an issue. But if you chose to use ginger solids, that's wonderful. And you would take them out at this time. And then we're using, you know, powdered cinnamon as well. If you threw a cinnamon stick in there, it would come out right now too. All right, we're just going to stick this over here on the pot, and that's just going to go in our compost. And the next step is just to let this cool. It needs to get quite a bit lower because the next thing we add to it, the last ingredient, is 1 cup of raw honey. And you don't want to put that in there when it's hot because, well, you're going to defeat the purpose of the benefits of the raw honey. So when we come back, once this is cooled and we're putting in the raw honey, I'm just going to talk to you about why all the ingredients in this particular elderberry syrup and why they're so good to have in our system. You could probably just hear Ruth Mary and her little cough there. So we've got to keep using these. And I apologize for the light, guys. It's getting darker in the season and things just aren't as bright. So, all right, we'll be back here shortly. Okay, so back. I kind of tried to switch my camera around to give you guys some better lighting, but I'm not sure if that is working. But we are adding the last ingredients, which is 1 cup of raw honey. So why do we use elderberry syrup? We use elderberry syrup because elderberries are wonderful. They're full of antioxidants, vitamins, and they just are known to help boost your immune system. So why not? And then we use ginger because it's antibacterial. Its qualities, I'm sorry, I can't get that out. It has antibacterial qualities. And it helps with inflammation, which is what we need when we're full of mucus. We need to go ahead and kind of settle everything down. And that's just another type of inflammation in our body when we have a cold or whatever sickness we're trying to fight off. And then we use cloves because it helps our respiratory tract system against infections when we are fighting, you know, cloves. You could also use cloves just to make a nice spicy tea. That's also really helpful. It's just not something my children will really drink, and so this is a good option for them. And of course, the raw honey, most of us know it has great antioxidants, and it's also antibacterial and antimicrobial, which is wonderful when we are trying to fight things. All right, we're just going to mix this really good. And that is it. That is our lovely elderberry syrup. We're just going to get this poured into a container, and then we stick it in the refrigerator. And because it's the time of year when we're using it regularly, we really don't need to worry about it going bad because we're going through it. But if you we're going to just leave it in there, it's good. It's good for several months. You don't need to stress about it. It's not going to lose its ability to help you with what it's worth, especially by putting it in the refrigerator. All right. All right, everybody, that's it. That's the elderberry syrup that we like to use. It's super simple, 4 easy ingredients if you're not counting the water. And that's it. It gets put together. It doesn't take long to make. You know, you got to let it cool, and it takes an hour of simmering down, but the actual effort to put into creating it doesn't take a whole lot. Now, I did not create this recipe. There are a ton of elderberry syrup recipes out there. I've been using this one for about 3 years, and I got it from, oh goodness, what's the name of her website? It is Real Food RN. So she was a registered nurse. I don't know if she keeps up on that anymore, but she kind of left the regular nursing industry because she really wanted to work on feeding her body real foods and getting away from the pharmaceutical side of taking care of your body. So she has some great resources if you want to check that out. I've enjoyed it. I don't actually read her blog a whole bunch anymore because I've gone on to my own studies and I don't really need to. But that's where I got this recipe. So I don't want to take credit for that. I want to make sure that credit is given where credit is due. All right, everyone. I hope you're doing great. and that you had a wonderful Thanksgiving like we did. God bless, and we hope to see you in the next video. Bye.